We'll call the budget meeting part of the hearing to order. And we'll come back to the ordinances. Thank you, Chris, for your information on that. I appreciate that. All right, so in an effort to try to hopefully bring down the budget, we have made some cuts in some areas, at least some suggested cuts. Those are always up for discussion, and we certainly like to have your input in this. We'll start with page 1 here with the selectmen's budget. We had an increase of $4,286, and that represented the 3% hike. Is that correct, Julie?
Yep.
And I think we all discussed, or we all agreed that we were going to not take our raise this year as a sign of good faith for the town, and so we will cut $4,000 to $4,286 off that.
No, it's
No?
part of that.
I'm sorry.
No, everyone is included in it's not, the elected is not just the three of you. It includes voters.
That's the poll, the election people, I'm sorry.
Yes, but
But we did do that. Yes, our portion of that was not included in that because we did cut our salary increase from that budget. So this represents only the elected officials, which we have to pay hourly now.
Yeah, that deduction has not happened yet, so that would be reflected.
Will be reflected when we change
Okay,
it.
so we'll change that amount.
And I do want to make a comment now because you're going to see it on each of the line items where there are salaries. This is cash basis if you're an accountant. So there are 53 payrolls in this year of 2020 to 2021 because of the way the calendar is and the leap year and all that. So we actually have one additional pay period that we have to account for in our budget. And that isn't a small amount, obviously. So you're going to see that comment at any of the sections that have salaries in them.
That's obviously something we can't cut. You can't cut a week out of the salary,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Any discussion on the selectmen's portion of the budget? Everybody comfortable? Everybody understand how that raise represents the elected officials' salaries for the elections?
Right. And there are a lot of elections.
Yes, we do have some. All right, moving on to town clerk.
Karen can go up to the hot seat.
Karen? Where'd she go?
She's here.
Oh, there she is. Oh. These are you pointing out there. Hey there.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. There's not much happening with town clerk as far as budget-wise. One of the things I did do is, because we have 4 elections this year, and we had learned from a prior year that anything can happen, so you need to budget for an extra election. So we always traditionally budget for 1 extra election. So instead of 4 this year, we have 5 for that 1 extra. So what I did is I moved $1,500 from my expense budget, and I transferred it over to the elections category. So that instead of asking for an extra $1,500 for elections, I just moved it from elections over to, from the expense account over to the election budget.
Okay.
And then did you want to talk about the note below about the $3,000 for the certification?
Yep, I was just wondering if it was possible to request the $3,000 increase. It was from becoming certified, which I had done a number of years ago. And it is customary for many town clerks, tax collectors, when you get certified, that they get an increase. And I had not asked for it because didn't want to at the time. But I figured I'd ask for it this year. Got it approved last year. And Conway does it as well, so I figured it was worth a try.
So does this include 3% plus 3,000?
Yes.
I believe it is, because the 3% is standard. And the 3% is not on top of the 3,000.
Sarah?
Yeah, could I just, I mean, could we just have like the salary for last year, this year? I don't. Yeah.
It's not broken down by individual. It's broken down by department. So whatever they have for members in their department, it's all pulled together.
Right, so you're talking two people, but that to me is a little bit disingenuous in the sense that I don't know what I'm paying my town clerk, and then I don't know what I'm paying my deputy.
We have that broken down in the town report when the town report is printed. But these are just pulled together, it's not down by individual, because we would have to do that for every single employee, so we just group them all together. Right, but we do have a breakdown, and will be presented in the town report of individual salaries and benefits, I believe, right?
Yes.
So what you said, if I understood you correctly, is that you're asking for a 3,000 over the board raise for your position,
Yes,
plus the 3% on top of that.
that's correct.
Right. And that's based on a certification that she achieved a
Yes.
couple of years ago.
Exactly. And it's one I've checked with other town clerk tax collectors throughout the state, and we've inquired about a survey. It is pretty traditional for anyone who reaches certification. We go 4 years of training, and then after that, every 4 years, we have to return for additional training. And then throughout the year, we have meetings for more training. So it's a continuous process.
But we pay for all the training.
Yes.
But isn't that part of your job, though, as far as being the town clerk, to be certified and remain
No, believe it or
certified?
not, the program has been in business for 25, 30 years now, and it was here the whole time Bill Botsford was here, and he never went. And Jeanette did go when she was here as town clerk tax collector. She went for the first year or two, and then I came in, and then she sent me. But the town of Jackson's never had anyone certified.
What percentage increase does that $3,000 give you over your salary?
I did not calculate. I inquired about what the standards, some of the standards are 5,000 to 10,000 in other states, other towns. I didn't go that high, so I just went with a lower number that was more acceptable.
But what I think she's asking is what would the total percentage be in your increase of your wage?
She doesn't know off the top of her
I
head.
don't know off the top of my head, I apologize.
Richard, any comments on it? Any comments? No. Anybody else? All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Next topic, financial administration. This is the office folks here. Again, we have the 3% salary increase and the 53-week pay period. There are some other increases here. There was an accounting increase expense that went up because we changed payroll companies, I believe, right?
Well, not exactly.
And
Oh.
actually, the accounting firm is increasing their fees slightly for the year for the annual review and report, and their decrease, but we took a decrease because we're saving money from the payroll processing, which they helped. So it's a net decrease in outside accounting fees of $1,000.
And you're seeing that from payroll
1,500,
processing.
yep, accounting and
If
payroll
you look down at
processing.
payroll processing fees, that's a down 2,500, whereas the
Right.
accounting is up 1,500, so a net down of 1,000 there. Okay. Office wages are up 4,750. A couple items are down minimally there. And the printing is up a little bit. Any questions on that? Okay. Assessing, obviously that doesn't change. Legal, we dropped 35,000. We decided that was about time to do that. It was discussed at many town meetings over years. And so we dropped that down to 35,000. That'll save some money. Any discussion on that? Okay. Personal administration, and these glasses stink.
These are the health insurance costs, which went down slightly, and the major increase is additional people eligible for retirement. So that's the increase of the 17,000.
Did I hear that correctly? The health insurance went down?
Surprise.
Wow.
Yes, it was nice.
Good job to the Julies
Yeah.
for negotiating that. That was a lot of phone legwork and stuff, getting that done. Yes.
What percentage do our employees pay of their health insurance?
I'm sorry?
What percentage do they pay?
Does the town,
3.5%?
3.5% of the health insurance cost? And I don't see here any reimbursement. Does that mean we're not paying out any money for reimbursements for health insurance this year?
We still have reimbursements.
It's included in that number, right? It's all included in that one line item.
But I can't ask the question as to how much that figure is.
Those are all shown when the town report is
Detailed.
detailed, yeah.
So we don't know it sitting
Okay,
here
is there
today.
any thought by the selectmen that, I mean, private enterprise doesn't do this, give a reimbursement to their employees for not taking? And again, I'd like to state that, we have, if you're fortunate enough to have, someone else that affords.
I think we've discussed this before, and it ends up saving the town money.
It would save a lot more money if we didn't offer it.
No, because then they have,
No, it wouldn't, because that employee would take the full benefit. There would be no savings at all, and it would cost us whatever they were
Right.
reimbursed.
But am I not-
It would it will cost the town that much more, whatever our reimbursement is.
Am I not understanding correctly that
Right.
people that have insurance, they have to prove to you they have insurance
Correct.
in order to get the reimbursement, correct?
Correct.
So,
And that insurance is less than what
the
we
town
would
would pay.
pay out for their insurance if they were on our policy.
Sarah,
they're-
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'll be happy to talk to you about this because I needed the clarification before I sat on the other side of the table here. So if you want to talk someday in the office, I'll be happy to go over it with you separately. Because I know, as you said, that it's been discussed at other meetings and we can look at it if you want.
okay.
The idea hasn't changed, though.
Any other questions, comments? Planning and zoning boards, no changes there. General government, parks and buildings, slight $4,000 increase in expenses for maintenance. Again, our buildings are getting older, and as a result, some budgeting had to increase there to make sure that we are keeping the buildings up and running. Yes,
I missed my opportunity under the planning expenses.
no, I'm sorry, you missed it.
I
Come to the next
I
one.
know the planning board is contracting a service to go over their zoning amendments, to update them, improve them. And does that number allow for that?
That was in last year's budget, I believe, Bill, for $3,000 for the New Hampshire North Country Council,
As
I
I
think it
understand,
was.
it was like a phase one of a three-phase process.
That would be a Bill question, so. Bill? Terry? Could I ask you a question real quickly? No, you're not interrupting. Jerry was asking about the planning board expenses.
Review of the zoning ordinances with, I guess, North Country Council. Does that number allow for your continued use of that and updating the zoning?
We expensed some of the items this past year. We'll expense some this year, but I believe between the two, we're within budget. The issue we may have is that we lost our secretary. And because of that, we have to now pay for somebody to actually attend our meetings, and that likely will increase our costs roughly about $1,000 this year for secretarial services. And that will be the only change in what we have. So it's possible that $3,500 may not meet our requirements in the coming year. If asked, I would probably increase it by $1,000.
Maybe now would be the time to make that adjustment.
Clearly. So you're recommending that we should increase that by $1,000 just to
Yes,
make
simply
sure?
because our cost basis has changed with Betsy Harding. She didn't charge us for the time, except for the time after the meeting, not during the meeting.
Everybody get that?
Do you want to increase it?
To 4,500.
Correct.
Sorry, John.
And
I
then
was on a roll there.
I'm going to back to it too. On the legal fees that you've incurred so far with Peter Malia, are those included in yours or are those included on our general,
Legals.
right?
Our legal.
Okay, I just wanted to make
They're
sure.
referenced here, and we've all done that with complete discretion.
Got it. Okay, sorry.
No, all set? All right. Getting a chill here. Building, government parks and building, we just did that. Any questions, more questions on that one? It says, include the town offices, phones, cleaning, copiers, oil, electric, all that stuff. So just that $4,000 increase for upgrading the building. Cemeteries, no change. Insurances, up 12,000.
Well, it shows that it's up, but last year we had a rebate of 8,000, so it's a little
Nice.
skewed.
So hopefully we'll continue to get that rebate. Is that
We didn't
particular?
mark it.
No.
Well, we got like 2,000, but we put it back to the general fund this year.
Right.
And those are calculated by Primex there. Any questions on property insurance? This is something that's kind of hard to control. Building inspector, we had to put a couple of bucks into that one. Kevin's getting quite a few hours now, and as a result, we had to increase 5 hours on his line items due to demand. But we will work it out with the fire department to keep him under, what's the magic number?
Well, so he was budgeted last year for 5 hours at the fire station guaranteed. He's just gonna be paid hourly for what he works there, and 5 hours was put back into the building inspector budget. But last year, the revenue was also 47,000 for income, for building permits.
So that's helpful. We raised more than we spent in that
Right.
category anyways, but we need to compensate Kevin for his time because he is putting quite a bit of time into that. Any questions on that one?
No.
Police, 27,000. Chief, what do you got?
The bulk of the increases because the one is 53 weeks instead of 52. And the position that was approved last year, we only had to fund for 41 weeks because it wasn't approved until town meeting. So now it's a full year. The rate's a little lower, but it's a full year. And that's the increase really.
Extra 12 weeks, basically. Yeah. Full fuel is up 1,500. Couple of minor changes in training and medical.
I would like to point out a few, we're doing more miles, and 4 years ago, this is my fourth budget, 4 years ago, the fuel line was, and this is from memory, so I'm gonna say it's 95% right, was 12,500.
Wow.
So we did some things that substantially saved the town money on fuel from when I started. We're still not at 2016 budget levels for fuel, but I do want to hedge these extra miles. We're going to have another officer working, 12 more weeks than last year, and so that's going to mean more miles on the car, more gas burn.
Yes.
Question for the chief on that. Once you get the new officer back from his certification and all that sort of thing, is that gonna get us back, assuming no medical stuff or anything like that, full strength, so we can get back to our
Yes.
committed coverage?
Yes, we will be able to field with or without our part-time, because he works one shift a week, absent training, court, vacations or injury, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that's the goal. That's the discipline. But it's a big piece, 40 hours a week. So,
Any other questions for the chief? Alrighty, moving on to ambulance. Again, this is kind of driven mainly by how much money we receive from payments on insurance companies. They did go down 7,500 or 7,600. Thank you. So that's good news there.
Yeah, I just got their budget in, they didn't give an explanation behind that, but
I'll talk to him about that, find out why. Don't know why that came in like that. Any questions on ambulance? Fire, up $5,123. Jay, what do you got on that? You got the 53-week thing, of course.
I believe most of it's payroll.
Yep.
Little bit of an increase in fuel.
You said you wanted to drop down Goody?
What's that?
What did you want to drop Goody to?
Yeah, there's gonna be probably a possible cut on Goody's line item. I gotta think about that a little bit. That may get cut down. Building maintenance got dropped. I guess big time, couple, $2,500 or so.
And that actually wasn't your cut, that
No,
was
that wasn't my cut.
selectmen cut, and I don't know if you guys want to discuss that.
I do have a few things. I didn't do anything to, almost not, I should say I didn't do anything. We held back on a lot of stuff this year in looking at the study for the fire station. There is a couple things that I gotta look at for next year to be worked on. Some electrical stuff, generator stuff. Guess we were originally talking about doing a generator like we did here, which is a grant item with some town money, which we can get by without that for now, use the generator we got. We just would like to hardwire it to a more permanent spot than what we use now, so that's gonna take a little bit of money out of the building maintenance.
Jay, on the Tyrol batteries, we bought new batteries this year. Is this a line item that includes
Yeah,
something
so-
else, or?
That was this year, on 19. So we keep 5,000 in the emergency communications in case something happens up on the mountain. I mean, we can spend $3 or $4 grand like nothing on radios if lightning strikes a radio or strikes a solar panel or an antenna up there. So a lot of years, we don't spend any of that money, or very minimal amount of that, but we really should have that money there in case of a radio issue. If we don't have radios and we have a fire call or an EMS call, we're not gonna get the info.
Well,
Are we still getting the 60% on the operating cost back from Bartlett?
I think so.
That's our portion.
This is our, okay, so
This is our
we
one.
used to have to appropriate it all, and then,
It's 50.
50/50.
so it's changed, okay.
Nothing gets done on Harold without 50% of money from Bartlett.
And then on the training line, is that specific training for $3,000, or do you just put
Yeah,
that?
that's training, any training we do. We haven't done a lot, we've done a lot of training, but we haven't done training we've had to pay for. So that's if we go to fire academy or.
So do you have any line item like projections that you're going to do, or any that you've
New hires will
planned,
be
or
involved in that.
anything?
Yeah, we've got some SCBA training planned this year for some new people. I don't expect to pay the whole amount, but we definitely need it there if some training pops up that we need to pay for. CPI training, we're gonna be paying for that. That's scheduled for next month. So some years we use only a little bit, some years we use all of it.
And that would also depend upon how many new hires you have too, I would imagine,
Correct.
which we don't have any?
No.
Good.
Oh,
we do?
We've got 2 new members in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, good. Bad for budget, but good for you.
Yeah.
Any other questions in the fire department, Pete?
I'll just say, also, we just concluded our fundraising campaign.
Oh, yeah.
We exceeded our goal, so.
I was gonna ask about that.
That we'll be able to purchase all of the tools that we needed, and new rechargeables, and new rechargeable extrication tools, and probably a few other things. A couple thermal imaging cameras and some gas detectors, which are a lot of our calls, our CO, propane, so we'll hopefully be able to get a few of those as well.
Yeah, we're looking at $35,000 worth of expenses that the town taxpayer don't have to pay for.
No, that was huge, and you guys did a great job on that, and that was quick. I mean, that was amazing, how quickly you reached your goal on that.
So is there anything else that can be dropped on this for any of the equipment because of
I
that?
haven't seen anything, there's not within that budget area there.
Okay.
Just possibly the,
And Goody's under the wages category, correct?
No, he's under the
no,
second
he's
one,
under-
right?
Second one down, I'm sorry.
The second one down. So that can probably go down a couple grand.
You wanna knock 2,000 out of that then?
I think so. I'd like to, I didn't know about these cuts until a couple hours ago, so I'd like to
Never too
try to plan
Okay,
how much I think I might need in.
all right, well, you wanna get back to us on
I'll
that?
think about it depending on the project.
Can we go back to the second budget here?
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. Any other questions on fire? All right, flipping the page. Emergency management. Again, 3% increase, 53 weeks. Hazard mitigation plan was given, we finished that process and we got our rebates from that, did we? We got everybody get paid for that?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's only up $500 for
And that
that.
includes a new amount for the deputy health officer, who's been doing a lot of work with
Any questions about emergency management? Highway administration. Pat, what do you got on that? 12,
There's a few small changes. Gonna maybe up the gravel. I know I didn't spent less than half of my gravel money this year, 2019, but I also had to buy a almost $12,000 furnace. I knew I had to buy a furnace in April, so I had to help that on some stuff that I knew I could. But we have, East Branch is really, I don't know, the government doesn't really seem to want to do much on that road anymore, so where that is in drastic need of gravel, which like should have about 6 inches all the way across it, which would be around $30,000.
wow.
So that gravel line, that includes gravel, that includes stone, that includes, you know, anything besides winter sand and, you know, road construction. So where, you know, loam for patching this or patching that, or stone for this or stone for that, or, you know, any of that stuff is kind of, it's a very basic line item that includes more than just gravel. So.
Questions?
Why did you cut 30,000 out of highway?
That was my suggestion, actually, because I thought, I've been here for 9 years doing this, and you know, one of the premises, I guess, when we started was that the roads were kind of below, I wouldn't say par, but they were below schedule in getting properly maintained. And I think after 9 years of putting quite a bit of money into the road system, you know, we got the new paving around 16A and 16B, and you know, I just thought it might be time to cut some serious money out of that because of the fact that we've kind of caught up on at least my opinion, again, is that we've caught up on some of the paving issues that we had here. I know there's still more, but you know, I think we've got to a point where we're kind of ahead of the game a little bit. Jay?
I completely disagree with that being a good place to cut. We worked many, many years to get the money up to be able to take care of the roads, which you, me, Gino, Jerry, everybody worked a bunch of years to boost the money line item up for highway road maintenance. Because everybody knows you don't live in an easy place to deal
No,
with
I
roads.
agree.
And I just don't feel it's a good place to cut. In order for him to be able to make decisions throughout the year for where to put his money and whether it's sealing, whether it's crack sealing, whether it could be simple stuff, it could be technical stuff. I just definitely don't think that's a good place. I mean, we need the money to be able to fix the roads when needed and as needed. If he can get by, you know, I'm sure if he knows you want to try to cut corners where you can, and he doesn't spend that money, then you get it back at the end of the year. But he really needs to have the $190,000 a year to take care of our roads.
Chair?
That was, what Jay's referring to is that many years back, we took a very hard look at what the condition of our roads was and how we could maintain them without actually ripping everything up and spending millions of dollars. And so this was what I thought at the time, a very intelligent way to maintain our roads so that we weren't hit with a really big number. And I agree with Jay, that, and I understand what you're saying, John, is you look at it over time and we're caught up. With our highways and roads in town, we're never really caught up.
Well, it's always gonna be some maintenance, that's why we have money in the budget, but I just thought it was, you know, we had made significant, I thought, significant improvement on the road, especially the last, you know, year, 2 years, and I just thought it was just time to lower that a little bit.
And I applaud that, but I agree with Jay, I think that's, I'm gonna come up later with some cuts that I'm
Sure.
I'd like to suggest.
Why is
I
it
don't think
exactly
that's
$130,000? Why is it exactly $130,000 spent versus budgeted?
There's two places, there's 130 there, and then there's also a line item
In the bottom.
for 60-something thousand under, is it
This $65,000 is in capital reserve fund, and then we also take the state highway block grant money, or state, that the money that
Got
the
it,
state
yep.
gives us, it's usually around 40.
Okay,
So that ends up being usually like 235,000, somewhere in that area.
so the odd
that we
dollars come out
spend
of that.
on the town roads.
Okay.
And there was another capital reserve fund for the state aid roads, which was separate.
which I do agree with you, John, on cutting, if you want to cut 30 grand, it's cutting it out of the state aid reconstruction, because those are roads that we do not own. Those are state roads that we just say, okay, we're gonna put some money into the state roads that doesn't belong to us, and that'd be the place to cut them.
Okay. Sarah?
Is there a road, like you're saying, you feel that roads have been done, do we have like a plan, you know, of different roads that we're going to be working on? Because I see road deteriorating where I travel, you know, from runoff and so on and so forth. So is there like do you just ride the roads in the spring and decide, or do you have a maintenance plan in your schedule for the different roads?
I spent some time with Pat, and we went over that. He's done a good job of prioritizing different roads so that, you know, you don't do everything at once, but he's got a plan for what will get maintained on any one year. I'd also like to say that I think the work that has been done has really held up well. I mean, I have to drive down a Bartlett Road most every day, and I wish we could send some money to them. It's amazing.
I don't want to send any money to Bartlett.
No, but you go to the town line from Jackson to Bartlett,
It's unbelievable.
and it's just an unbelievable
Going from New
difference.
Hampshire to Maine.
I mean, I think our roads are really being taken care of really well.
What's your thought on my suggested cut there on the 100,000?
Well, I like the idea that Pat has the ability to make good decisions when he's into, whether it's a reconstruction or, you know, do a good job on a culvert or whatever it is. I'd like to see him hold on to his money.
I'd like to see you manage some of the other budget lines better. So if we had to cut your budget by 25,000, or, you know, similar to what it is here, managing some of the other line items that maybe are heavy on the budget side, like the contract hiring and the maintenance of town grounds and things, and see where we can maybe move things around to still cut your budget. And, you know, Jay said, he didn't know he was gonna have to kind of cut his budget, but I would like to task every department to cut their budget somehow. And if it's negotiating or just penny pinching a little more, I think it's worth it to see if you can reduce your line items.
Yeah, it's all relative on what people want. I mean, you know, I can
Well,
cut here and cut there, but.
if we go back with the money for road maintenance, would it be possible to then back off the money at gravel?
Well, he wants to do some work up there in
I mean,
the
it's,
town hall.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I can back off the gravel. It's something that needs to be done, and it was kind of, if we're gonna cut, I took, one year I had some extra money, and I put a bunch of money onto Dundee, which we've done in the last, since Hurricane Irene, we put a lot of money into that, but that road has held up, really well, so, it's kind of, the dirt roads kind of get neglected a little bit, not neglected, but, we don't put a lot of gravel onto them, and you need more than an inch, when you do it, so, it's kind of,
Well, so,
I just look at, try to balance out, if we put the money back in,
yeah,
say on the 30,
right.
can we save some
Yeah.
on the other side?
Right.
It was, if we're gonna cut, it was 55,000 out of the budget is what's gonna be cut out of the highway budget. And I was thinking we can maybe put a little bit of that back in where I know was definitely needed is some gravel, so.
Right.
yeah, but wouldn't that, I mean, you could, when you do road maintenance anyways, under that category, highway road maintenance, wouldn't that include fixing Town
Yeah,
Hall
I
Road?
can take
I mean,
that, yeah, I can
I mean,
take
the
that.
materials necessary and
Yeah.
everything like that? That would make more sense. Sarah again.
Right, not having the full scope of what contract hire, mowing, and rental is. I would like to second Barbara's idea and see if that isn't possibly the area we could cut more so than maybe the gravel that's needed in order to maintain the road that he was talking about, or the road maintenance that, as I say, we don't have in our possession anything that tells us what that contract hire is. But if, I'm going on what Barbara said, is maybe that's a possibility of one of the line items.
Just revisit all of the line items.
Willis?
I think we're making a big mistake if we cut maintenance on our roads. And you're already gonna sacrifice at some point down the road with some of the heavy equipment stuff. As everyone remembers, back last year, just about town meeting time, we spent $30,000 on a sidewalk machine that we took out of our, as an unplanned expense in our reserves. That's gonna reflect somewhere in the budgets. I don't think road maintenance is someplace we should cut. I mean, we spend a lot of time getting roads up to par and above, but there are still roads that need to be done, and you get one or two really bad storms this spring, and you're gonna be scrambling big time. I just think that's a bad spot to cut.
Okay. No. Chet?
Pat started to explain it, and I think you got cut off a little bit. I'll let him highlight on it, but you can cut anywhere. It's just, if you're gonna cut, you can't ask for more. You want to cut sidewalk plowing, you can cut it, but you can't get more done. You want to cut, you're not, you can get less parking lot maintenance done, or less mowing done, or, it's just cut. You're just gonna get less.
Maybe cutting isn't always the best word to use, though, and I'm not, privy to everything that you guys do for negotiation, but maybe it's using your dollars more smartly, and if you had to use your own dollars to do something, is there a better way to negotiate? Or is there, anything that you can shave off and still get the job done and done with quality work? So I don't think that we're saying don't do it as much as we're saying, how can we spend our money more smartly and not be taken advantage of? And are we negotiating the best we can on anything? If we're going to be spending a lot of money on gravel this year that you spent nothing on this year, is there any way that we can negotiate because we're buying a better volume or something? Any kind of thinking out of the box that can save money is not just saying cut it out of the budget. I mean, I don't know how much, like I said, I don't know how much you guys do negotiate things or work with different vendors, but I don't think anyone should be comfortable saying that they're a vendor of choice for Jackson unless we've gotten other quotes and done our due diligence on making sure that we're not paying top dollar for something because we're the town of Jackson and it's in our budget.
I guess I would remark on that is, I don't think I'm being taken advantage of anywhere in my budget by people. I bid out things like sand and gravel, and you have to weigh in more than if this guy's 3 cents higher than this guy, because when you need the gravel, you need it delivered, you need it right
I
now.
absolutely agree with that. It's
And
not
so
just dollars, it's the
it's a
efficiency
matter
of the
of-
job.
I mean, I buy stuff, I don't buy just from Mapper, I buy stuff online as much as I can. I buy, you know, gravel from places where I know I can get it and where I can get it the cheapest. And, I mean, I do the same thing with winter sand. I mean, I guess, I'm not saying that you're saying that we are, but I'm gonna reinforce the statement is I don't think that we're getting taken advantage of by anybody. The only people that we get taken advantage of, and I don't like that word, but I use it, is where you don't have the ability to figure it out. Like when you need a furnace and you can't
Yeah.
get anybody to come to work on it, you kind of have to go with somebody. And it may not be the best price, but you need it fixed. It's
No,
the
I
same
get
when
it.
You need a tow truck,
Just-
and you broke down on the side, you know, you don't have the ability to call 5 of them and see who's gonna tow. You know, like there's things that you don't have power over at that
Negotiate.
moment in time. You need
Yep.
it done and you need it done.
I
then.
understand that.
But I guess I don't believe that we're being taken advantage of anywhere in my budget. I would, I mean, there's
Yeah, no.
definitely ways to trim for sure.
All right, well, can we, you know, again, I'm not opposed to removing my request of, you know, reducing the line item $30,000 for the highway road. I have no problem doing that, but can we go back and look at it and see if there is something that we can, maybe not dollar for dollar, but maybe come up with some short money and see if we can pull something down?
Yeah,
All right.
the only question that I guess I would say, and I think that's maybe for all the town buildings, and I know Julie's and I have talked a little bit, is, you know, when something happens, I mean, I needed a furnace and I was able to pay for that out of my budget without, like, an issue. And there's not really a way to do that. If this building loses its furnace, you're not gonna be able to come up with $10,000 or $11,000 or $12,000 out of someplace. And I don't know if there's something that we may want to look at, some sort of a building capital reserve fund or something. I don't know what the right word is, but as long as we're talking about it. I mean, it did happen to me this past year, and I mean, the highway garage, we look at it as brand new, but it's 10 years old. And this building's 25 years old or so.
Really?
Maybe, I don't know.
Can't be
2000.
By the way, let me just,
So, I don't know if that's something to look at some point, maybe not this year, but
Yeah.
it's something that we should open our eyes to a little bit, because
I know we had that at one point, and then the budget got changed around, and everybody's individual budget paid for their own stuff, so we kind of bounced.
Yeah, that was the maintenance of the buildings, right? We divvied that up so it was proportional to every building. You know, if we have the money there, I mean, you know, theoretically, if emergency arise, we, you know, like a furnace or something like that, probably within the whole system, we do have that, you know. Individual budgets, yeah, you probably wouldn't be able to sort of that. Doc,
John, what did you say we saved on the town garage financing?
I'm sorry?
$16,000.
But that's only gonna be, that's not gonna be shown, it's over the
I know, what I'm
rest
saying
Yeah,
is
it's,
that, you know,
you're saving and you're,
that's 16 grand you didn't have to spend.
Right. It's true, but it doesn't show up in our budget, it shows up in the, you know, in the,
Money's fungible.
yeah, I know, it is. All right, so,
thanks, Pat.
take a peek at that for next time and see if we can do any adjustments. Again, I don't have a problem with drawing my $30,000, I was just trying to do my job.
Get everybody's attention.
Yeah, I got some attention though, I did get some attention.
We got a good discussion.
Yeah, and again, that's what we're here for. Street lighting, down 1,000, that's good news. Solid waste,
Now, those numbers I use the same for,
Right.
the transportation wages and the health insurance, because I have not gotten confirmation from Marley yet on the figures.
so we're waiting on figures for the solid waste disposal,
Well, only the top two lines, really.
really.
Does that include the increase in tipping fees?
Yeah, it did, on the 40,000.
I left that as
Yeah.
is because we
We
had
didn't-
some extra.
Right.
Yeah, it's,
left.
So we did account for it, pretty much.
but didn't raise the budget.
Yeah.
Ready, animal control officer, no change. Public welfare, no change. kind of that's a hard item to predict, obviously, because you don't know what's gonna happen there. Library, $44,795.
There's only one thing with that it's not really up by 44, but we learned that we had to include all the library gross appropriations. So that 41,000 that you see is new, but it's offset in revenue, so it's a net effect of 0.
It's a wash.
Yeah.
We have to raise the money even though it's being reimbursed.
Correct.
That's what.
We have one big expense that we didn't have last year, and that's we're gonna paint the outside of the library this year. So we're pulling $18,000 out of our trust fund to do that.
Good deal. Awesome. Any questions on that? Conservation? No change?
Actually,
What? We got Ken.
and Tom may want to step in as well, but at the last conservation meeting, we discussed updating the forest management plan and also developing a recreation management plan. And that and Tom, do you remember what the number was? I think we talked about 1,800.
We heard about 3,000 from
Yeah,
Don Johnson today.
3,000 today.
And talking to Julie and the select board, they were encouraging us to take that out of the change in use fee fund rather than upping our line item.
Take it out of what?
Change in use fee.
The money market,
Okay. Oh, the money market thing we talked about. Yeah. Good. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought that the 2,000 was gonna come out of your funds, not be raised from the town.
Correct.
Does that need to be reflected in the budget or like a library expense kind of thing? Or?
No.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions on that page? All right. Other culture and recreation, no change there.
We
Valley
still-
Vision.
Yeah, we still have Valley Vision in there,
Valley Vision issue.
and they're just not responding back to Julie at all. We talked about it at the last select meeting. Did you have a comment on that, or?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, it's kind of, I'm going to include a couple other line items, so I don't have to ask 3 different times to speed things up, but if we're looking at cuts in all our budgets, are we going to look at considering, things like Valley Vision and fireworks and beautification project and the Christmas tree money and all that? If everybody's cutting money out of their budget, so we're still going to spend money on that type of stuff.
Well, the Valley Vision is something that was approved
Yeah.
at the town meeting and never came to fruition because Spectrum just dragged their feet on it. So we never spent the $5,000 from last year.
It says proposed for 2020, so it's going to be budget cycle.
I'm sorry?
Last year
Right.
was petitioned. I stuck it in here because people still seem interested in it. It may go nowhere, I don't know.
It says proposed for 2020,
Yeah.
so that's why.
I think we're gonna have to increase our legal budget if we want to get them to give us the service that we were looking for. For whatever reason, they just don't want to respond or give us the service. So I personally, I would cut that $5,000 out.
And that may be a discussion for the town
Yeah,
at that time.
but that would be my,
Sarah?
Is it actually Valley Vision or is it Spectrum?
It's
I mean, I know
Spectrum.
It's
Yeah.
the corporation that we're
Correct.
having the problem with.
Correct.
It's not with
Yeah.
Valley Vision.
No, they've been very
That's
cooperative.
Valley Vision and the town of Conway and myself have all been trying to get them to turn it back on, but they're saying it's much more difficult than flipping a switch, and we're not having any luck yet.
Just out of
Denise.
curiosity, has this been going on since last April?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're not even responding back to her at all, so.
They
They don't
responded
return
a few
phone
times,
calls.
and
And
then
then
they
they tapered off.
It's down in Portland. It's not our local one, it's down in Portland.
At some point, that horse is
Portsmouth.
dead?
Portsmouth.
stopped. Well, and I
Portsmouth.
spoke to Jerry Jr., and we talked about, offering to redo the agreement, but they wouldn't respond to that request either.
You had difficulty several years ago changing that agreement, or redoing it. It just seems they don't care.
Right.
Well, it sounds like they want to eventually just drop the service everywhere, and so why restart it with you know, Jackson. I mean, that's how I would read it. Plus, you've been doing this for like 8 months now,
Oh, that's right.
so.
Not weekly, but.
No, but I mean,
periodically, yeah.
it's been an ongoing project,
Right.
right? So you kind of have to wonder.
I mean, one thing I could do is I could take it out of the operating budget, I can make it its own warrant article to keep it separate from everything, if you guys want to do that.
That might be the way to do it, that way the town can vote on it
Okay.
again.
Right. Seemed so easy last year.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it would be fine.
Everybody, yes, sir?
Is there any way legislators can help us? I mean, is this something, I mean, it's a universal station where it matters to a lot of people who have children and who do not have computers to be able to visually see what's happening in the, not only Jackson, but in the Mount Washington Valley. I mean, it's not just like it's
Yeah.
one person we're talking about, or one group. It's families, it's people that do not go or have computers who.
You know, I
who go to the
appreciate you
local
volunteering to look into that.
From what I understand though,
Hold on one second, go ahead.
from what I understand, it has to do with each town in their agreement. Jerry could explain it better than I could, but it has to do with designating a specific channel. Like if the town of Jackson wanted to produce their own channel, I guess there's a way you could do that in the agreement, but then because it's being shared with the valley, it's, I don't know, I'm not quite sure on all of it, but I guess there's a way the town could ask for our own channel.
The last time I looked at it, they had a very arcane contract that they do with towns. And they were completely turned off the idea of negotiating any part of it. And that was, what, 5 years ago?
Yeah, or
That's crazy.
4,
4
something
or
like
5.
that. Yeah.
And so I haven't been involved with her negotiation of Spectrum at all this time, but I completely believe the issue.
Well,
Don't they have to come periodically to get from the town an approval to, or is that just the initial time when they put the system in?
I'm not sure.
Does Spectrum have
They have to have a contract with the town and a permission.
In place already for
They
us.
have a contract to service every house that's on the electric grid. So if you have utility poles, you're supposed to get
Be able
cable.
to, yeah.
I remember when Dundee Road, Maloney's lived there, and they kept saying, oh no, there's no population density.
Right.
Well, that's not how it reads. It says if you're on the grid, you will get cable service. Well, they finally came to the selectman's office, and it's true. And they put it in.
Well, that's what don't they have to renegotiate that contract on every so often?
It's every 10 years, but we just did it.
We'll wait 10 years and they'll figure it out again. Good thought, though, good thought.
You might have some leverage in that time.
Yeah, that's true.
It's time to get a service person up here. We'll hold them hostage.
All right. Any other comments about Valley Vision? Parks and Recreation, no change. Debt service up 7,500.
You're gonna see a new line item there, that's for the possible interest
For
on
TAN.
construction for the Valley Crossroad Bridge. That will, once the bridge is done, that will go away. And it all depends on how quickly we get reimbursed from the state.
Questions on the debt service? Total operating budget as written here today is up 4.03%, $88,970 without any additions or corrections that we made tonight.
But that will increase by 30,000 if,
Right, without any
Right.
any adjustments we made tonight. So, any discussion, comments on that? It's not too bad.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, and that's,
Considering everything that
it's not bad.
I
Yeah.
just want to make sure I'm reading it right. The 88,900 also includes the 40 some odd thousand for the library.
Again, is
Yeah,
that
so
part of that
Yes.
45? Yes, would be, wouldn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
unless the formula is wrong.
Yes, it
Yeah,
So
does.
then it's really.
So it's really 40
only
some.
40 some odd.
Correct, net, yep,
Then it's not.
yep. Good point, thank you for
I'll check
mentioning
my
that.
formula.
So roughly 2% then. Yeah, that's pretty good. Capital reserve funds, what we got here? I can't read this. This is
2018 Chevy for the fire department is 160,000, and the sidewalk tractor and plow. So
Right.
there are 3 vehicles for a total of 160,000. And
Right.
then for infrastructure, the paving of 118,000 is for Whitney Hill, Deer Run, Woodpecker Ridge Road, Highlands, and Route 16 sidewalk.
And that's
then-
just like an FYI of what was taken out of the capital reserves.
Right, so this is what was spent this last year.
Okay, gotcha.
Gotcha.
That was what's spent, it's not part of the
Sorry.
budget, already gone.
Okay. And then the other is the transfer station in Maloon Road. Maloon,
The water testing.
Yep.
Water testing.
Okay.
All right, now the fun part. Warrant articles. All right, so,
And we'll go over these in more detail at the February 4th meeting, but this is just a general idea, and I just need to know if anyone wants cuts or increases, so that it can be discussed in, as I said, more detail.
personally, I like to try to take something out of these budgets. I think this is what's driving our budget so high, is that we spend so much money on, equipment and things that we have to budget for. I understand that, but, can we get another year out of this? Can we get another year out of that type thing? Hopefully, Jerry.
I'm gonna ride the horse I've been riding every
I know you are. I didn't want to call on you because of that.
Sorry.
This is where real money is spent,
I know,
Yes.
I know it is.
not 30,000 or 15,000 or 3,000 or even 300. This is where the real money is spent, and I have for years been suggesting that we raise half the money that we do for these items and bond the other half. Bonds are so cheap right now, it's a better use of the money. People who are going to take advantage of whatever we're buying are going to be here to take advantage of it. The other thing is that, as you know, the selectmen are the agents to expend them, and we're years ago, when we bought a fire truck or a police, the town would vote on it, even though we had the money there. By bonding it, it would give the townspeople the right to vote on whether or not to buy a fire truck, a highway truck, or whatever. I'll say it again, cut this by half, and you'd be $75,500 cheaper. And then when it came time to buy, as you just said, maybe we can get another year out of it. Maybe we can. Maybe we can get a few years. But at least we can bond whatever we need to do. And that bond will cost us less money really than having that money sitting there all those years. At least consider it.
Okay, I'm gonna just throw out a figure, because we got the figures from the bond bank, municipal bond bank of New Hampshire. If we took a $3 million bond at 3%, that would affect our individual taxes at 59 cents per $1,000 of assessment. So
Over how many years is that bond being taken?
20 years.
What asset on here is a 20-year life?
Excuse me?
What asset?
A fire truck, maybe?
No, I'm just throwing out,
Not like assets.
this research is,
The building
A
does.
building, but what building
Okay.
is on here?
I have
think you've got to keep your bonds and your depreciation life.
I have it for a 10-year bond at 2.5%. Is that more applicable?
It's certainly a good question. Again, most people would
make sure that their bond lengths and their depreciation of that asset, the useful life of that asset are in sync. Otherwise, you're encumbering this town with debt.
But that's possible, you can do that.
I'm not sure you can cut this in half. Because if I look
I
at
didn't
this list,
bring my figures out to start an argument in here. I think that's to be voted at the town meeting. But it's just an example. A 10-year, okay, 10 years at 2.25, 89 cents a thousand of your assessed value. So I think on a $300,000 house, back to my original 59 cents a thousand is what, $180? So that just gives you a relative figure to work on when we're talking about this much money. But it's this much money spread out over the whole time.
And that was per year, excuse me? Is that per year, and you told me my taxes would be going up?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Willis?
I don't disagree with a lot of the things Jerry talks about with the bond. I think there's times for it and times there's not. But if there's very few people in here that go back to prior years, in the late 70s to early 80s, we did not have hardly any capital reserves. It took 4 years to get an approval for a fire truck, and we bought a highway truck, a loader, and actually a small highway truck and a large highway truck and a loader 1 year, because again, people didn't feel we needed to spend the money and we didn't have capital reserves. So it can go both ways. Right now, interest is down. If the expenditure is high enough, I think a bond is a good thing. But the thing is, sometimes it doesn't pass. But since we've done capital reserves, we typically buy the big ticket items and we have the money in the bank to pay for them. And people will approve that, or you get the expandable trust. We could debate this back and forth all night, but I guess it makes a difference on what you want to do with the bottom line of the budget and what it's going to affect.
I'm not totally against, like on a fire truck, for example, for $500,000, I'm not totally against cutting some of the capital reserve money and doing a 50-50.
That's what I was thinking.
The last time we did that was 95, we did something similar to that for the fire truck. 06, we didn't have all the money to buy the fire truck. But what do you save if you still do 50%? 50%. Is it a huge savings, or is it just a different way of doing it?
You're going to spend the money and then any which way.
It's right.
It's right. When do you put the money aside, or do you get to the point and then spend the money?
Billy does have a good point. It can sometimes be a hard sell. Whereas if you've got the money, like our next fire truck that's coming due in a couple of years, if everything goes according to plan, we're hoping to stretch it out anyway. But if something happens and we needed that to buy that truck, it's definitely a lot easier to sell. We get all the money in the bank.
But it should be a hard sell.
But
it has been $500,000.
Jerry.
Exactly right.
The town should be convinced that we should spend it.
We used to have to fight all the time.
Yeah.
We
have for the school budget, we'd have to fight to buy some books or pencils.
The fire truck that, if you want to just talk about fire truck here, the truck that Jay's talking about, we pretty much try to have a target of 25 years old. We have, the next fire truck that's replaced, we've already kicked quite a bit out. It's in good shape, we've maintained it well, but this year is his 30th birthday. 31st year. So we can put antique plates on pretty soon. If something drastic happens to that truck, and you go on the bond issue, and you don't have money in the bank, there's a problem. You got a couple $100,000, I don't know what a new loader costs, but if something drastic happens to the loader, and you gotta have a loader to load sand, to do the things, it's a double-edged sword, as I said 10 minutes ago. It depends on, is it good, bad? If we're talking a $3 million project, I think a bond issue is the only way to go, and our yearly payment is probably gonna come out less than what the increase waiting one more year would be in building something. So, I mean, that's the time, I don't disagree at all, but I think you gotta look real hard at priority on which pieces of equipment.
We have a scheduled replacement list already. I don't, I know the fire truck is coming up soon, but.
Oh, we extended that.
For 4 years or so, we'll be looking at $500,000 for a fire truck. I know we're gonna have something, $300,000 for a highway vehicle and a cruiser probably. I mean, there's 5, 6, 7, 8, close to $1 million.
And we have saved some money already for all those purchases. I mean,
Yeah, now, if we go as planned right now on the fire truck, when it comes time to replace engine 4, we won't have to raise any money. We'll have it all.
So would it seem feasible that, let's say round numbers, it costs $500,000, and instead of raising $500,000 through capital reserve, we raise $450,000, and then $50,000 would be a one-time, hit for the people at the time of purchase. I don't know if that would make more sense, just to, again, the fire truck is a little different entity because A, it's so expensive, and B, it's so close to retirement. Whereas like a police cruiser or a highway truck that you might be able to get a year or two out of, that's what I'm looking at in terms of making some nickel and dime cuts, but something. I just think it's a good faith effort for the community.
We did cut the fire truck capital reserve 2 or 3 years ago from 100 to 80.
Right.
Just to give you an idea.
Again, the fire truck one I'm a little less concerned with because, like I said, it is overdue. But some of the other ones, I think that, again, I don't know the actual maintenance status of some of the highway trucks, obviously. I know, for example, the ambulance, the first ambulance is going to get a chassis rebuild, so that's going to take some money. But, things like the police cruiser, hopefully we can get another year out of. I'm just trying to nickel and dime a little bit.
And what we can do for the next meeting, because it's all about the warrant articles, is I'll have what is in the capital reserve funds right now on the sheets so you can see, and then it'll be more realistic discussion.
Yeah, we can give it some thought, and, next time we meet, we can maybe come up with something, I'm hoping.
The other thing you have, John, is, there's another horse I've been on for.
Sure.
Our unreserved capital funds.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, Ken?
The other way to take a look at it is to go back and take a look at the lifespan that you're putting on these vehicles.
Right, that's what I mean.
Is it?
It used to be when you bought a car 2 or 3 years, and now it's 6, 7, 8 years. But that's not true. I don't know whether that's true for this kind of machinery because it gets a lot of wear and tear.
Exactly. That's the part I don't know about because I'm not involved in it, but you're absolutely right, Ken. Where they stand in terms of their maintenance and.
But a lot of stuff is getting greater.
Some things may be able to last a couple more years. Maybe, the cruiser might die tomorrow, who knows? It's very hard. The
way he drives.
The way he drives, yeah.
One thing that's listed on here are the bridge trusses for $45,000. So I don't know if everyone attended the last Valley Crossroad Bridge meeting, but the town is going to have to decide whether or not they want to spend the $45,000 for the green trusses. I put it on there because it wasn't, I think it's a town vote, really.
Right. Yeah, and that was the aesthetics of the old trusses there. It was the idea to reestablish that. If that's something the town wishes to do, it's going to cost us $45,000.
Right, if we choose to use the trusses, they're non-structural. They're totally cosmetic, but they have to be rehabbed to put them back in place. That has nothing to do with rebuilding the bridge, as far as the state's concerned. We would pay for that, $45,000. So if we choose not to use them, we'll save $45,000 right off the top.
Of the warrant articles, not of the budget.
Right. Of this portion, I mean.
Same with the fire station feasibility. I mean, those are all on the docket to be voted.
Yeah, and we can get into our detailed discussion. We can have a longer one. I know there's some people here that want to talk about the Prospect Farm ordinance.
Okay.
Is it okay to switch back to the ordinance?
Does anybody have any other questions about the warrant articles as written here? Pat?
I got one.
Sure.
Just kind of tidbit information, not pro, con, whatever.
You do it.
But we spend $20,000 in repairs a year, and Bartlett keeps their trucks maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 years longer than we do, and their repair budget is $100,000.
Wow.
So, just an FYI, we're keeping trucks right now, the last 5 or 6 years, we're keeping them 3 or 4 years longer than the town has ever kept them.
And obviously, we have to go with your expertise on that.
I mean, but if you
got a winner, let's keep it.
You're gonna up your maintenance budget, because the longer it is, the more expensive it is to repair.
Right.
So there's something to keep in mind, you gotta weigh both sides of it if you wanna try and stretch things, you're gonna have to increase other things.
So I guess there'll be more discussion in the next meeting about the warrant articles as written here. I do have one that I'm gonna put out because I've been a supporter of this over the years, and I'm definitely not supporting it this year, is the Eastern Slope Regional Airport. That's only $500.
Oh my gosh.
But that was like, it's up to 500.
Yeah, went up to 500.
It's up to 500, not that that's a lot of money, but it could have a huge contention during the town meeting.
It was a 30-minute conversation.
Yeah, and I really don't want to deal with that
I
again.
agree. I'm with you on that.
For $500, it's not worth it to me.
So if that's the case, then I need to, if everyone agrees, I need to let them know, because then they have the opportunity to petition it. Is that, if you want that removed?
Are you in favor of that?
I would ask them to repetition it,
Okay.
because
Are you in favor of it?
Yes, yeah, I'm with you on that.
Anybody else see anything else there that they want to comment on before we move back to the Prospect Farm ordinance? All set? Okay, again, we have a second budget meeting, so this is not final. Changes, corrections, additions can be made, and we do get to vote on the bottom line at the town meeting, right, Willis?
And as you look at it, bring the ideas forward, we're gonna listen to all
Whatever you
of
got.